All right, man. Are we living in an upside down kingdom? There's a new Bible that's pushing that exact sentiment, and there is, unsurprisingly, a lot of backlash about it. Is this religious growth or DEI moving into the literary? Also, it is Inauguration Day. That comes with a lot of feelings, opinions, and of course, celebrity appearances, right? So we'll be getting into all this on this episode of 520 IXC for Monday, January 20th, 2025. But first, let's introduce you to the squad. Hanging out with us tonight, we got a special guest that we want to introduce you to. Actually, we're going to let him introduce himself and tell you people who he is. It's good, man.
What's going on, fellas? The pleasure is all mine, man. I appreciate coming to hang out with you fine folks on this lovely inauguration day, warm inauguration day, right? I'm Frenchy Riff. I'm the host of Locked In Christians. Recently new, I think, channel started about almost few months back, but I had channels before that. I just didn't. I was a little afraid to get into the Christian realm. I didn't know what was going on. But anyway, so Locked In Christian. We also have edifymusic.com where you can check out some Christian music, Christian rap, and all that good stuff. And I'm looking forward to chopping it up with these guys, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, love it. Glad you're here, dude, for real. And we'll talk a little bit more about your channel here in a little bit. But yeah, we got Big Swiss.
What up? Happy Freedom Day, or what did he call? He called it something today.
Liberation Day.
Liberation Day. Happy Liberation Day. I actually had a team of 6 people from work. We went out and had an Inauguration Day lunch today.
There you go.
Some of the conservatives that I work with, so that was fun. Even though I did not vote for Trump, I led the whole thing. I wrote in my vote this year, but it's okay to write in your vote and still be excited for what's coming. So I'm gonna, no matter who won, I'd be rooting for them anyway. So
right,
let's go, America.
Right. Love it, man. Love it. And y'all already know, man, I'm Eric Boston. Hit me up on X if you feel like it. If not, I totally understand. But it's Eric Boston 3 on X if you want to do that. And I voted for somebody.
So you were the third Eric Boston.
Right. He's got 2 of them. He's got 2 more.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know, dude. I think what it was my gamer tag had like 3 in it whenever I signed up with this at one point, and I just kept it. I can't remember, dude. It's been so long. I've been I'm telling you, man.
Oh, he's
back
fading.
when
he's fading.
Twitter was a bird.
He's fading.
He said
he's frozen. He's a frozen boy right now.
When Twitter was.
Are you in Washington right now? I know it's cold out there.
Like stuff is. What is happening right now? Holy cow! Discord, stop it! Like Discord's like trying to open.
Turn your Discord off.
All right, hopefully I just did. No, it just like popped up on its own. I'm like, what is happening right now? It made no sense.
That probably did it. It was probably grabbing your stuff. All right, well, we're here now. We're ready.
We are.
I'm trying to be. Y'all already know what it is. Join the squad on Substack. Okay, just do that for us. Substack. If you have not signed up, get signed up. 520club.com/Substack. You know, when TikTok goes down, we don't have a TikTok, but when all that kind of stuff happens, if you're signed up for the newsletter, we can still talk to you. So please do that for us if you would. Yeah, man. It's also, hey, Martin Luther King Day. Happy MLK Day to everybody.
You know what? I need to go back to my intro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get fired up. I'm gonna get fired up on X. Happy Martin Luther King Day out there.
and yeah, it's Inauguration Day. You may be happy, you may not be happy, but you know, regardless of how you feel, we're living in Donald Trump's America at this point, so it is what it is. So Swiss was having a lunch for Inauguration Day, and they were celebrating, it sounds like. I did not have a special lunch but I did watch a lot of the stuff that was happening, and I don't know, man. Okay, how much of the stuff did you guys watch today?
Zero.
See, I had the pleasure of being off because I work as my other job, my real job, I guess. I work as a business analyst, so we're off today. All right,
Nice.
okay. So I was like, I got some time. Let me see what's going on. So I tuned into at least the speech, which was really aggressive, actually. To talk about your enemies and they're sitting right behind you is actually new
That's
level.
a baller move.
That was absolutely baller.
Everyone
don't
wants
know.
to hate on him, but he's at least gangster. Like even his wife today, Melania, had that gangster brim on. You know what I'm talking about? She looked like she was about to go to dinner with Al Capone.
She had that Mortal Kombat like that Raiden.
Well, and if we're gonna be fair, I don't think that Biden had any clue what Trump was saying anyway. So
that's probably true.
It was fine. It was fine. I read that there was a bunch of well, obviously there's people upset across the board with like a lot of the people that performed over the last couple of days and stuff. And I'll get back to another one of these examples here in just a moment. But I did read an article that was saying that a lot of Christians were kind of torn on Carrie Underwood's involvement. And I'm like, dude, she's a song, man. Like, why tripping that much? But what was funny is she was singing. A bunch of people were singing along with her. Kamala was trying to sing along with her, but I'm convinced Kamala didn't know the words. It was like
the words.
She was like, it was like what, America the Beautiful or whatever, or one of those songs. I don't watch.
I did catch that clip. I caught that clip, and I caught the "We're Going to Mars" clip, and I'm like, how much is that going to cost? Like, we're talking about cutting money. We're gonna go to Mars. Come on, dog.
Right.
Dude, Elon got more money than everybody, so it's fine.
Hey, if it comes out of Elon's pocket, go for it.
I think he's willing to fund it. No, he's not.
I mean, he already kind of is, but he also gets government subsidies for being in the space program stuff.
I mean, honestly, I think the speech threw me off the whole time because I'm like, have I ever seen an inauguration speech made quite like
which part of it? Which part of it?
Like just naming off everything you're gonna do. Usually they're very broad about, just kind of sweeping generalization, like, oh, I'm gonna take care of immigration, blah blah blah. We're gonna fit. But he was like
he was bullet point.
He was real bullet point.
The thing is like that's different for him compared to other ones. Is he's had 4 years of preparing and playing. Like, hey, if I get back in, it's on. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
So I think he's coming out guns, but I actually read that like they're already processing release paperwork for like J6ers and the Lake and Riley bill got approved by Senate, so it's just got to go to the House, an amended version, and the expectation is that the House approves it quickly, and then goes on for Trump to sign it. So that's bills happening really fast. I mean,
that app that the Biden administration put out for asylum people that shut down right at 12:01 today.
That's crazy.
Like, did not messing around. Like, hey, I said I was closing down the border. Like, you stay in Mexico till we process you.
Because I saw it actually gave them like flight too as well. Imagine being like 11:59 and like right about to book your flight.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating because it's for people that don't live in Texas or in a border state. Like, a lot of people don't actually see the impact it does have. Like, the amount of homeless vagrants in Dallas has like quadrupled in the last few years, to the point where it's just like you can't go anywhere without seeing a homeless camp around here. And then on top of that, you're seeing just cities getting overrun with like civil service issues, which is what you saw in what you saw when they started busing people. But I think a lot of people misconstrue the policy as like bigoted, and it's like, no, I want people to come to America. I just don't want 10 million of them to come in and not have any sort of like understanding of who they are, where they went, what they're doing,
and you want them following the process of coming
Yeah.
here, right? I mean, dude, did you see that a Border Patrol agent in Vermont got killed just a little bit ago?
I saw something about that.
Yeah, like just a little bit ago.
Wait, what?
Yeah, by an illegal immigrant. So that, I mean, I guess they were out patrolling, looking for people, and it went down that him and an illegal immigrant that shot the Border Patrol agent was killed as well.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the Lincoln Riley stuff, and like I'm old enough to remember during COVID, if it saves one life, it's worth it, was like a slogan that I heard from a lot of newscasters and politicians and whatnot. And like we've been watching people get murdered and raped like almost, it feels like every other day, and it's an illegal immigrant. And I'm like, okay, guys, like we got to do something. Like you can't just be like, well, we don't know what to do. Like there's things that we can do that's reasonable, and also still like how do we do it compassionately and reasonable?
True.
Like how do we love our neighbors but not just shut them out? And like I think just people are like, well, if you don't just do everything open-handedly, then it's not loving. And I don't think that's nuanced enough.
Well, hey, let's talk about that a little bit, because like we said, there's a lot of feeling across the board, even within Christian culture, right? I know I'm in a text with a couple of my buddies, and we got one that's like, I don't know, like I can't relate to the and the views that he has on a lot of this stuff. I'm like, I don't get where you're coming from on this. Like, he was like adamant that like Trump is going to be taking our basic everyday rights. And I'm like,
well,
I'm
Stephen Colbert said he might not even be on TV tonight.
I mean, it's like, okay to not like it.
I still don't understand that
like,
whole
I'm okay
rights
with,
thing.
I'm okay if you don't like him. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you pay attention to the last 4 years?
Like you wake up the next day and you just go to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that I don't understand. Imagine if you did want to be a dictator. You know what would be the best plan to do? Create a pandemic, lock everyone in, tell them they can't leave their house, and only provide them propaganda from a news source, and have everyone say the same thing over and over again, and scare people into listening to that over and over again. And they tried it and it didn't work. And Trump was the one who was like, yeah, let's get everyone outside. And so like the whole idea of like Trump being a dictator, I'm like he could have done it if he had the layup opportunity to do it, and he didn't take it. And so like that's the dream scenario for creating a dictatorship, where you create a subservient people, is you lock them in, you diminish their hope, you bring down their thing, you make people can't even see their kids be born or visit their dying parents, and you break all that down, and then you just feed them through the media everything that you want them to hear, which is exactly what happened. Also, you censor things from the internet by forcing Facebook and Twitter to comply to rules that they've all admitted that they did. I mean, they literally had the perfect scenario, and he still didn't do it.
Dude, first of all, shout out to Kyle Manning hanging out with us.
Ooh, Kyle's in here. What's up, Kyle?
Kyle Manning's hanging out in the chat. Stock is hanging out in the chat. So what's up to you guys? If you're hanging out with us, make sure you let us know you're here, where you're from. In the combo. But did you see the story that Mike Johnson was telling about the conversation with him and Biden? I mean, this tells you exactly what was kind of going on. Like, so I guess the situation was, him, Biden, a bunch of Biden's people in a room talking, and Biden was like, told everyone to leave, that he needed to talk to Mike Johnson alone. And they're like, okay. So they talk about whatever. And then while he had the opportunity and he's sitting there alone with Biden, he's like, hey, I got to ask you, why did you sign that executive order to stop us from being able to sell liquefied natural gas overseas? We're like the biggest supplier of that. That makes money for us. And Biden was like, I didn't do that. He's like, I can pull it up and show you right now. He's like, no. I signed a thing that says we're gonna we're gonna do some more studies with it and stuff. He's like, no, that's not what it says. Like Biden had no idea what all he was signing, what all he was doing. I mean, I think we knew that, but
is Mike Johnson on record saying that?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
there's a video of it. You can watch
really?
right now.
Wow.
So,
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, ever since the election, have you even heard anything about Biden until the last few days?
No.
Not a thing.
He's been silenced.
Well, he was busy, giving pardons to his family and stuff. So,
And
Man, can we talk about the pardons? Because I feel like I'm living in a reality that doesn't make any sense. Like, what is he guilty of? I was just like, okay, that's a lot of pardons. I'm cool. I get it. That's your family. I'd probably pardon my family too. But I'm like, what do you do though? They're not even accused of anything.
So it's preemptive pardons, right? And the kind of general view on that is like, if you do a preemptive pardon, it means somebody's guilty of something,
Well, then they've trained us to think that Trump is going to be retributive. There's going to be they've misused the bloodbath quote. He said they keep calling him he's going to be a dictator. Mm-hmm. So even when you talk to people today about it, they're like, well, yeah, they have to protect themselves against Trump. And I'm like, if they're not guilty, what's the problem? Like,
yeah.
I thought when they mentioned back then when President Trump was in office the first time that he was going to do exactly this. He's going to pardon a bunch of people at last minute, abuse his presidential authority, quote unquote. But now the silence is deafening because he literally did that.
Well, here's what's funny about it is because, literally with like 15 minutes to go, 15 minutes on the clock, Biden puts this pardon out for his entire family. But not only that, he sets the precedent for Trump to be able to pardon himself with the stuff he's actually facing.
Yep.
Right. That's wild to me. I don't know, man. It's been a crazy couple of days, man. Like I don't know if you guys checked it out yesterday, but he had the rallies and stuff, and like I tuned in and watched Kid Rock perform at this rally, and I'm like, I sit there, I go, I have no idea what world I'm living in right now.
Right.
Like it was
Idiocracy. Mike Judd's America.
Crazy. It was so crazy, dude. It was like
I consistently think about that scene in Idiocracy where he walks in, the guy's watching TV, and it's like just like silly like YouTube clips of like cars are ramming into a wall. Yeah. And then I seen my little cousin actually watching that one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, we are there. I was like, he's just watching a car that just crashed, and then he was like, okay, next video. I was like, no way.
Well,
just swiped up
there. He called it.
Couple that with the TikTok stuff yesterday, and like watching a video of like this woman that's like sitting there go, I'll never trust the government again because they shut down TikTok. I'm like, that's what did it for you? That's what made you say I'm not trusting the government anymore?
That's wild. I think the take too that like people are really upset. Like, I'm losing all my money and all these people are losing their jobs. I'm like, first of all, you're not entitled to anything from a company that you didn't create. Like, it's like an Uber driver who complains about the cut that they get. I'm like, well, you could go create an app that allows this sort of service worldwide, and then you can set the standards. But since you hit, I agree to the terms and service for this thing that I didn't create, you are now, that's the consequence that you have. So I don't feel bad for you.
Well, and that's like, and Frenchie, you could probably speak to this because you have that artist background, man. But like I work with artists doing like press releases and different stuff, and I've interacted a lot with guys. And the thing I've kind of missed doing it, but even beyond just music artists, I mean, any kind of creative, really, like any of this stuff, man. Whether it's social media, whether it's music streaming platforms, whether it is YouTube, whatever, none of this stuff you own, and it could be gone tomorrow, or they could shut you down just because they want to. You've got to create something that's yours and a way to connect with the people that rock with you, man. And you can't be caught off guard or surprised when something like this happens.
Right. It's like, because if you think about, us working in the online space, there are so many different avenues that if they shut you down here and you actually have something of value, of genuine quality, people will follow you everywhere. I mean, it's happened everywhere to people that got banned during, pandemic. Like you get banned here, you go over here, people followed you again. So if you're creating things that are not good enough, those are people that are complaining. The people that you ever seen those people on Twitter that are retweeting the same thing you saw like 5 times already? Like, oh, I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
or the videos that says, oh, I wonder what happens next. I'm like, bro, you know what happens next. You watched this video. I'm like, you've seen the end.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
or grifting, whatever they want to call it. I don't know.
Well, and I mean, I think the benefit will be, these people will now switch platforms, and so you should see an uptick in your other platforms if the fans are legitimate.
Mhm.
If not, you might find out you had a lot of bots, and you might find out that you didn't have fans to begin with.
Well-
Like they maybe saw one thing and followed you, and that was it, and then they
Right.
never saw your stuff again.
I'm gonna pull this up. Did you see the message for when TikTok came back up
No.
yesterday? Holy cow! Hold on, let me find this so I can read it.
My
for you.
wife knew it before me. She was checking during the night.
Okay, so it was shut down, and there was a screen that was like, "Oh, hey, sorry, it's not available right now." Blah 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 blah. But when it came back up, and this makes me think, man, I think there's a lot more than just an app at play here. The message was, "Welcome back. Thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the U.S. You can continue to create, share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok."
Yeah, he extended it because he's giving them the opportunity to sell to an American company.
But dude, a
Still.
year ago, they would never give him that credit for that.
Well,
So
I
I'm like,
mean,
okay, is
no
this
one
is
wants to
this
give him
a
credit for anything.
well?
Right.
But dude, a lot of people are changing their tunes real quick, And is it a way for him to, because he got a lot of young voters? Is it a way to kind of boost that voter block?
There's something at play there. There's people claiming like if he comes in, looks like the hero to Gen Z. We don't know how these people react. I think we're all fairly millennials on here. Everyone here millennials. So I mean, Gen Zs, they just react different. Like my wife's a Gen Z. I just watch for research purposes how she reacts. She
Research purposes.
like
This
I just
is
watch
marketing
her.
analysis. Well, you are a business analyst, so that makes sense.
I have to. I'm like, I'm anal about a lot of things. I'm just watching. I'm like, how's she gonna react about this Twitter shutdown? She knows all the info, except for all the important info. She just knows the hot button. And this is what I knew. The government really they're genius. They're smart. They're a lot smarter than we give them credit for because they know there's
I don't think
people
they're that smart, but I'll allow it.
Yeah. let me finish. Maybe I'll get you around. What I'm saying is like they're smart in a way that they know that people are not that like focused on what they're doing. Like my wife, for example, is completely right. Like even I can explain to her what's happening, and she'll be like, "Cool." Next day, I'd have to start again, like that 51st Dates movie, and and I'm like, I have to like keep doing it again and again. I'm like, you know what? They know there's people like this, so they're just gonna gamble on that. The majority of people are gonna pay attention to hot topics, flashy headlines, and then they're gonna bring it up and they're gonna act based off of that immediately. So I think Trump does a little bit of both, where he does really get into nitty-gritty, the people that know what's going on, and then he also does a TikTok stuff for the people that only care who brought TikTok back. What I mean? Like in 10 years, they're only gonna remember who brought TikTok back.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
if it's still around.
if it's still around.
We'll probably have like VR, AR, social media
For
in
sure.
10 years. Everyone will have it in their glasses.
10 is long. I'm thinking sooner.
Yeah.
But so one thing that Trump said, and I don't have this word for word, so I'm kind of just gonna have to paraphrase this a little bit. But one thing he said in his speech, and I think hopefully this is maybe what people within the Christian culture can focus on here, regardless of if you're happy about what's happened today or not. Okay. But one thing he did say was essentially that, hey, at the end of the day, God is still the creator of this stuff. He is still the one that is reverenced and revered. And I was like, I'm glad. I mean, and that is not a a cosign on Trump's faith, because I'm not going to go there. I'm not willing to say that. But
I don't think anybody is.
But he's not.
Right.
But he's not wrong in saying it either. He's not wrong. Like, what do you guys think, man? Like, what's your hope for American Christians over the rest of this year following today's events?
Reading their Bibles. I do think that there's a revival happening in the church right now. I don't think it's related to Trump in any way. But since you're asking specifically, like, what's your hope for Christians in America in the next, I'm assuming what you mean by that is, what do you see Christians, where do you see we should go as Christians in this during this presidency?
What's the opportunity?
I think the two biggest opportunity is getting gay marriage off of the conservative platform, and I also think that removing the abortion edition that they added this year, I think that should be a huge movement that Christians should move in, personally. And I've actually written seminary papers on those two topics specifically.
Wow.
Just because when you look at the data, the average self-professed Christian, actually under average, less than 20% read their Bible more than once a week. And that number has been declining for the last 10 years. And so when you see that going down and the acceptance of things that are against God, such as the gender creation and the man and wife marriage situation, or transgenderism, or abortion for that matter, you're going to see an acceptance of what the culture is bringing on. And that's and then Christians are going to be the one that would attach to that because they don't know God's word. And so I think in this next few years, that should be a push, and it should be reasoned. And I think the thing that we should focus on is clear, articulate logic, supported by sound doctrine, that allows us to gain favor in audiences. I think what Wesley Huff was able to do on Rogan, and then provide such, like, atheist friends of mine are like, whoa, that was really interesting. I want to talk more about that with you, or whatever. And it's like, if we can get more people that can do that on a regular basis, it'll get more people interested in reading their Bible. And, like, we should push that content. I think one thing that, I've been pushing for too, on this channel a lot, Eric, is like us spending our dollar on Christian artists and Christian properties and Christian things. If there is a movie in the theaters by Dallas Jenkins, go see it. I don't care how much you don't want to see it, just support it. Like, or buy a digital copy when it comes out. Buy your Christian hip hop albums when they're available. Or, like, I just found out that you can get every Christian hip hop. I know this is, like, really stupid because I'm a tech guy, but I don't use Apple Music or Amazon Music. And I needed an MP3 that I wanted to purchase that was a little rare for a DJ set, because I was not going to have Wi-Fi, and so I couldn't stream in tracks. And a guy was like, buy it on Amazon Music. And I'm like, oh, you can buy MP3s on there? Every MP3 on my playlist was on there. It was great. I was excited to pay for those. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't want to just stream. And so I think if we see that push towards, like, hey, let's invest in Christian infrastructure, because we need to reinfiltrate the culture. We need to have more teachers that are Christian. We need to have more politicians that are Christian. We need to have more people that are journalists be Christian. And so, I'm really going far on this answer. But
nah, you're right.
I think that should be the focus of the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I completely agree with a lot of those sentiments you just mentioned, and I've been preaching and screaming that on my channel for the longest. And I always get shocked personally when because I volunteer at the high school at the church, and I always ask them. I'm always curious. I'm like, how often you guys actually read your Bibles? And it's still very low. It's the same answer when I was in youth group. It's the same exact answer. Even growing up in the church, I was like, I placed my faith. I still didn't really read my Bible. And I think there's a little bit of a polarization happening with Trump. And I think a lot of Christians are probably going to scrutinize his presidency a lot more now because of that faith factor. And I think he kind of, rode that faith factor. There's a lot of videos of him praying, people praying, putting hands on him. And so I think that's going to make some Christians like very, scrutinize everything, see every moment. Like I know today they already talked about how he didn't put his hand on the Bible.
Yep.
And you can see these, these Christians are kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like the Christians that wait for you to say Jesus when you're rapping. You know what I mean? It's like, is that guy going to say Jesus? Is he going to say Jesus? It's like you're just constantly waiting for somebody to, show you that they're not, or they're fake. So you can,
meet your individual expectations.
Exactly. It's like, bro, what? So I think him being in charge this time around almost feels like we've seen him 3 times. You know what I mean? Just because of the 2020 election and all that, you almost feel like there's a lot of them. And I think some people feel very overwhelmed, by his personality and all that. But ultimately, I think us in the Christian community, we have an opportunity to, to almost really create an economy there's no better president for Christians to try to create an economy off of. It was nearly impossible with, the Biden-Harris administration, with all that. Well, because if you didn't have anybody that is transgender on your team or something, you're not getting any funding from the government or anything. So for this time period is a moment for us to take advantage of that and to support all these things. Like, you mentioned Dallas Jenkins, and I've seen a great movie, The Forge. I don't know if you guys seen that.
Dude, that movie looks incredible, but I just canceled Netflix. And
Did you?
I just need to go buy it. I'm just going to go buy it. Yeah,
dude,
I saw it on Netflix. I was like, I got to watch this.
Dude, you have to. I went to the
theater
for it. I mean, I literally almost cried 3 times. My buddy Carl, he cried 3 times, and he was not. It was a really good movie. Probably the best one I've seen. And I was very judgmental on Christian movies for a very long time.
Rightfully so.
Right. And I'll watch them like, man, why you guys just film it crappily? Like just film it right.
Budgets.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Christians aren't funding them. And so these guys are going to like their individual churches and going to their richest members to get like a measly $2 million budget.
Measly. But still, if you see the time period we're in with the technology, I mean, we're able to do this show. You could create some pretty high, quality stuff without, a very high budget. So I think we are in a good period. I think Christians should take advantage of this. But ultimately, I think we just need more Christians out there. We need to be like rebuttaling like everything, because I see so many channels that support Darwinism and all this stuff. Like, I mean, even every science channel you watch, great graphics, but the underlaying of the content is based on false doctrines and stuff. So, and we don't have enough Christian channels to even debate this stuff. Like, I'm glad I'm talking to you guys out there, but how many more of us are there out there? You know what I mean? We don't even know honestly the real number, but I know it's pretty low. So I think we have
you got Ruslan, and that's like the top.
That's the top right now. But I feel like,
and shout out to Ruslan, he's killing it. He's doing a great job.
And that's what Holy Culture was trying to do. They were like, hey, can you get our YouTube channel up? I was like, we need content. Like, you need to create content. And then you have to go through this like corporate structure of like approving stuff. I'm like, it can't work that way. That's just not how content works. You can't corporately approve it. It has to be, is that person in the faith? Is that person biblical? Is the theology right? Sure. All right, let him create the content. So ultimately, to answer your question, I think, there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of these 4 years, because we really don't know after that. And we should, as Christians, we should create that Christian economy where the money is kind of going into a circle of, Christian artists, Christian movie makers, YouTube creators, just the congregation. And we can create that. We should do that.
Well, hey, both of you mentioned people reading their Bibles. So I want to say thank you for setting up our topic here.
That was somewhat intentional.
It was good.
But I did mean it.
Right. Well, we're going to jump into this, man. There is a new Bible that you may or may not want to read. I don't know. We're going to talk about it a little bit. And this comes from the Christian Post. The article is 1 Million Moms Urges Christians to Boycott Upside Down Kingdom Bible, citing woke theology concerns. A conservative advocacy group, 1 Million Moms, has launched a campaign opposing Zondervan's newly released NIV Upside Down Kingdom Bible, claiming the study Bible promotes woke theology and undermines traditional biblical interpretations. The group is quoted as saying Zondervan's newest NIV study Bible is unlike other Bibles in that it includes elements of theological and gender diversity. As such, Christians should be aware this could be called a DEI Bible. The Upside Down Kingdom Bible, described as addressing topics such as race, ethnicity, creation care, abortion, gender, and sexuality, features study notes, essays, and book introductions contributed by various scholars and leaders, including Preston Sprinkle, general editor and president of the Center of Faith, Sexuality, and Gender, a Christian organization focused on issues of faith and LGBT plus inclusivity. In a statement to the Christian Post, Zondervan did defend the purpose and scholarly rigor of the Upside Down Kingdom Bible, emphasizing its commitment to evangelical Christian beliefs. The Upside Down Kingdom Bible is a new tool for engaging Christians who are seeking biblically based answers to today's toughest questions, as is standard with our study Bibles. Contributions are from multiple biblical scholars with trusted credentials and expertise in their fields of study. All the contributors hold the authority of the scripture, and the content has been fully reviewed to ensure that it is within the scope of evangelical Christian beliefs. I'm going to stop right there and let's get into it, man. Upside Down Kingdom Bible. What's your guys' thoughts? I'm confused by the name of it, to be honest with you.
I mean, I get it. Like, we do live in an upside down kingdom. I understand. I guess I understand the intent of the title.
Are we creating it?
No, Adam and Eve created it.
Well, I feel like we're flipping it the other way or something. I don't know what we're doing.
Well, like we live in an earth that is, we are not living in it the way it was intended to be lived in. So technically, you know, the Lord's creation is upset. So full up front, I'm going to buy this, but simply for a research tool, like as an apologist, like I read a lot of stuff from various different ways. But what a lot of people should know is when you see who the publisher is, you could tell a lot by what they're going to produce. So like Crossway, for example, they do ESV. They are going to endorse people like Michael Reeves, for example. And they're going to have like more seminary type, like the guys who teach your seminary instructors, who teach your pastors. This is the guy that trains those guys, you know. They're gonna have that. Kyle
Manning's funny, dude.
What did he say?
Sounds like a Carrie Underwood approved Bible.
Yeah. Where Zondervan is an NIV. They're the NIV guys.
Publisher.
They're the main ones for that, and so I'm really interested to see who the contributors were to this, because they don't post it on their website, which is weird. Because normally you'll see at least who the contributing editors were, and I'm looking on Amazon right now, and I don't see that information yet, but I'm still looking. That's why I didn't see what you had. They're just talking about introductions, what's in it, but not who contributed. So I'm going to be really interested.
For sure, Preston Sprinkle. For sure,
yeah, I've never heard of him.
Well, here's what's interesting. Like I said, he's the president of the Center of Faith, Sexuality, and Gender, and that organization describes its team as a growing collaboration of Christian leaders, pastors, scholars, and LGBT plus persons serving as advisors and contributors.
Wow. Yeah. I think the title alone is already, it's like blasphemous. Are you able to just call anything Bible now? Just rename the Bible now? I was already like just reading through it. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm just picking up some things. Essentially, I felt like there was kind of two issues they were focused on from the article. Now, is the article from the mom one of the moms that's raising? I'm trying to figure out.
So
raising awareness for it.
1 Million Moms is a they're an organization. They're like a nonprofit, and so they have been the ones kind of spearheading this movement of basically boycotting this Bible.
And the Caitlin Webb lady, she just interviewed the 1 Million Moms. At least that's I
believe that's correct.
Yeah. All right. So for what I was seeing, I mean, they're pointing at two issues. One, profiting from wokeness essentially, or lack of a better word, grifting. People, it's a hot topic right now. So even if somebody doesn't believe in what you just did, like Big Swiss just mentioned, he's going to read it for research purposes.
I literally just bought it.
You've created an economy just because in the time period we're in, right? If we weren't talking about it, this is 2004, no one's buying it. Everyone's going to be like, well, what are you doing? No one's buying that. So, and then the second issue is it's almost like we're at a time where the Bible is going to be rewritten, and we know it will because Paul kind of talks about this when he's addressing Timothy in a lot of his letters. But I actually did a video way back on when China first did a rewriting. I don't know if you guys caught that. It was back in July 23, and they rewrote portions of the Bible in order to increase the control over the religion in the country. And for me,
we did it for slaves in America.
Right. So
that's not new.
Well,
I felt like that was the recent commercially like unashamed. Hey, we rewrote the Bible. Like, can you rewrite the Quran and get away with it? No.
Nope.
Well,
I mean, they've only rewrote it 71 times in the last couple thousand years. So
they've also rewritten themselves.
And Zondervan's been under the microscope for that kind of stuff already, right? Because they were like the first ones that whenever you look at the gender equality side of it, they took
Zondervan's not afraid to post some progressive.
Yeah, they were the ones who would change scripture from saying just simply brothers to including brothers and sisters in verses, right? So
I want to say that Zondervan, I could be wrong, so feel free to fact check me on this. I think Zondervan holds to what's the catechism? I can't think of the name. I literally was talking about it today with somebody on a separate topic. Not the Heidelberg. I think they hold the Heidelberg, which if I remember correctly, holds scripture's inspiration versus scripture being authoritative / man, I'm like losing my vocabulary right now. What's the word I'm looking for? Without error, inerrant. So if you look at a confession that says inerrant, that's very different than inspired, because inspired you can take a lot of liberties, and Zondervan holds to that catechism, where like a Crossway would hold to like a Westminster or Baptist Confession of Faith or something like that.
Yeah, and while they don't call it a woke, and I'm not sitting here saying that this is 100% woke Bible, because like I said, I haven't looked through it myself. I'm just going off of reports here, obviously, but it does have like this tagline, because it is called the Upside Down Kingdom Bible, but then its tagline is "Think deeply, love widely," and that is some views that we definitely associate with this more modern woke movement in general. And we've been, and that's why we're seeing some of the stuff I think happen in churches that we've been seeing over the last decade or two.
Would we qualify this writing as false doctrine?
Possibly.
I don't know. I need to read it before I can say that. And then it depends. What doctrine are you holding to? Are you holding to Nicene doctrine or Constantine doctrine? Are you holding to a newer? That's why studying these catechisms is important, because so I have a friend right now in California who's like investigating the faith, and we've been connecting on a completely different level. I've brought him up here on the show a couple times already. But today he said he got invited to the men's Bible study, and they're going to go through like their doctrinal beliefs and stuff. I'm like, hey man, I just want you to know, like, that's some heavy stuff. Like, you're going to read some stuff and you're going to be like, well, why does it say that? Or like, why does it, you're going to, that could trip you up faster. Like getting into like systematic theology and why they wrote something in a catechism can trip you up before you even understand why you would even think that to begin with, because you haven't read the Bible. And so I just I told him to beware of like, hey, you're about to read some very intense stuff with this catechism. I forget what one they do. I asked him what one it was. Oh yeah, they hold the Westminster, and I'm like, okay, hey, Westminster was written in this era. It was written by these people.
Mhm.
The language is kind of weird, but you're gonna get to this, and this. And when you get there, call me, because like I want you to understand this. And so it's really important to understand that, because a lot of people will say like, I am a Christian, but they can only articulate the gospel, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's excellent.
Yeah.
But as you sanctify and as you grow in your faith, you should, and I hate to use this word, but it's the best word I could use, is to deconstruct why you believe what you believe. And you ask the question like, well, why do we only believe in two genders? Or why wouldn't a Christian adhere to that? And then you can go to the scripture, and then you can actually go to the catechism and see where they actually like pointed that. And then you could trace that logic all the way back to the first century. You could see who kept teaching it through years and years and years. And it's similar to reading genealogies in your Bible, when it's like, so-and-so is the son of this person. Like, that's what we do when we research doctrine, is we like, all right, were they even close to teaching this in the first century? We could trace that easily. And so understanding the verbiage of the catechisms, all that is important, especially when you're having an authority or an influence like Zondervan in the culture. It's important to be able to spot the lies. And so I'm hesitant to say that's blasphemy or heresy because I haven't read it, but I'm willing to bet it's probably going to be in there. And so
it's right. Well, I mean, if you think about, sorry, Eric.
You got it.
Well, because I was gonna ask you, Swiss, but because in First Timothy, even Paul mentions these doctrines, and he also mentions genealogies, because he says these people are not only teaching false doctrine, but they're so focused on genealogies and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, but they're in there. Like they're in here. Like, this is how we kind of follow the age of the earth. A lot of the science Christians, they follow the genealogy. I'm like, okay, well, Paul's warning Timothy here, and First Timothy 4, where he's talking about they could be looking at potentially doctrines of demons, right. So it's like, if it doesn't qualify as holy doctrine, something that we can actually use, then does it fall unto doctrine of demons? Or my question to you, Swiss, is how important are the editorial oversight committee? Because I'm just looking at my Bible, and
very important.
I have a Crossway,
from
Wheaton, Illinois,
Yep.
And I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The oversight committee's got 7 members
on the editorial board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how important are those guys?
It depends on what they sign. And so, for example, if you wanted to go be a professor at the Southern Theological Seminary in Kentucky, you have to sign a document that affirms the confession of faith that they have. And the thing that they add in there, now this is something that was added in, I want to say, the 90s. Churches and organizations started adding, without reservation, I'm signing this document, which means that I'm not signing this document and conceding points that I don't agree with on here. Meaning, like let's say you were coming in and you did not hold to a doctrine of man that has 2 genders. Let's say you were more progressive and was like, hey, I think God created people to be non-binary, and I think a man can become a woman and become pregnant. Let's say someone thought that. They could sign with before that, without reservation. They could literally sign and put with reservation, which was still a contractual binding issue. So you would have people on your staff or in your seminary that you knew didn't hold to your confession of faith, but wouldn't teach outside of it. Well, now what you're seeing is these schools are creating that phrase to say without reservation in there. And so they won't hire you if you have a reservation. And so that doesn't mean you couldn't fake it and just never say anything about it. But when you sign those documents, you're essentially saying, I'm 100% on board with everything here, and I will only teach this. And so when you have these editorial boards at Zondervan or Crossway or wherever else, they're probably signing those as well. So it depends on what they're agreeing to when they come on, because, you know, like I think Christians who work in ministry work in places where not everything is perfect, and they're willing to overlook things because the ministry work is good. And I don't necessarily think that's bad, as long as like it's not an essential level conviction that you're like compromising on. And so, yeah, it really depends. I'd have to see like who's on it. Like when you start going through like church history and you start studying systematic theology, and then you start studying catechisms and stuff, you see the names repeatedly come up. And so like when you see someone like Patrick Spring, I've never heard of him. Like never heard. That was today was the first day I heard of the guy.
Patrick Sprinkle.
Yeah, never heard of
Preston Sprinkle. Sorry.
And so and like I major in apologetics, so I frequently read progressive works on purpose, you know, just to be like, all right, what's the argument they're presenting? So if someone else comes up, I would know how to, you know, rebut that.
And I think that's where my like caution would come from, where we have seen a lot of stuff creep into the church that's clearly not okay, that the Bible is in black and white telling us it's not okay, but we've made it gray. And so if we're living in an upside down kingdom and we're not working on flipping it back around, then we may be working on just taking it sideways, and that's not good either.
Yeah. Well, and that's just, we've been sleeping at the desk, like we're the sentries sleeping on duty, you know. I think the devil has done a really good job at splitting us apart over the smallest things, and some of them are fair, some of them are not, you know. But like we can't unify if we disagree on whether if Trump not putting his hand on a Bible is a problem in our community, like if that's your like biggest gripe of the day, I'm sorry, like your priorities are way misaligned. Like there are way bigger problems happening in your local church right now. Like, you know,
well, especially
friends you see every week might be going through a divorce and they haven't told you, you know, like things like that are important, not whether he puts his hand on the Bible.
Especially if you're okay with like putting an LGBT plus pastor into your pulpit.
That's crazy. That's I think it even starts back in Genesis. When I read Genesis again as an adult, which I always recommend in my channel, every video, I'm like, you have to read Genesis.
It's the best book.
As an adult. Yeah,
all the craziest stuff happens in Genesis.
All in Genesis, you're like, ain't no way. Like, as soon as you get to chapter 6, you're like, what am I reading right now? And I'm like, what? Who came from what? And what? All right. But people don't even realize, like, the average Christian has no idea. Like, when I bring up Genesis 6, they're like, yeah, what's that? God created earth. I'm like, oh no, buddy, he already did that. There's a lot more going on. Genesis 6
for that,
but right, but yeah, he did that quickly. Right, the rest was worse. It was us.
That was child's play.
Right, yeah. But this one, I'm like, okay, that has divided us for the longest. I mean, a lot of people goes, okay, is the apple? Was it an apple? Was it a fruit? Was it, you know, did God? A day in God's, what the Bible says, what a day is 1,000 years, 1,000 years like a day. Yep. So was 1,000 years going by, or was it just a day? Because he does say day and night at the end. Yeah. I mean, you're talking every denomination will pick and choose what they want to believe out of Genesis. I'm like, we can't even agree on the beginning of our world.
Right, but like the gap theory, that's called the gap theory, what you're talking about. The gap theory isn't even an essential to the faith.
No.
So like, why debate it? Like, it does, like, it's not a question that the Bible's trying to answer.
No. And also, God, I don't think God wanted it to be that easy to understand. He would have made it. It would have been written in plain, simple. You know, Jesus always spoke and said, "Let those who have ears hear." Yep. Like, if it doesn't make sense to you, it probably never will. But those, you know, and I'm quoting Timothy Alberino. If you guys are familiar with the guy, you should. No. By the way, Big Swish, you should check it out. I think you'll find some of his ideas interesting, which I don't agree with all of them. But again, he's one of these like Ruslan figures that are really picking up right now.
He's on YouTube.
He's on YouTube, but
I'll
yeah,
check him out.
I'm telling you, you're gonna find it really, really interesting. But he's on this like,
What's his
where
name?
Timothy Alberino, yeah,
Okay.
he goes
I
off
found him.
in, yeah, very, but he talks about this like antediluvian period, all these things like. He really breaks down Genesis chapter 6 in a way I've never heard it before, and and then he starts referencing other books that I don't particularly agree with. I'm sure you probably
Alien
read.
stuff too.
Yeah, he
Is he
does
like a
alien
Billy
work.
Carson guy? Is he like the guy Huff took down? Is
No,
he a Christian?
no, he's Christian. He's
Okay,
100%
interesting.
Christian. He's a believer. That's what I'm saying. And I
Okay.
was like, that's what's actually been throwing me back. But I think he just has a different perspective on, especially Genesis and Ezekiel, all these Daniel chapters. Pick a chapter in Daniel. Anything that is talking about the end times is really kind of his specialty.
That's cool.
And but yeah, but either way, like he kind of like, I think he captures this very well when he says that like knowledge, I think it's in Solomon or something, like wisdom is for like, it's the honor, it's the glory of God to conceal things, and it's the glory of kings to go out and go searching for these things. I think it's in Solomon. Might be misquoting which book, but still, it's like we're meant to dive deeper into the Bible, right?
Yes.
So does it really matter, the nitpicking thing, like how many different denominations we have and why we can't even agree on the Bible? This is what allows things like an upside down kingdom Bible to even pop up, because we can't even agree
Well,
on one of these.
So that
we
was
can't
like,
even agree on translations, right? Like you
Right,
got only KJVers, you got only NIVers, you got us on the high horse of like ESV, NASB, and I'm like, I want the word for word,
right.
even though it doesn't sound as good. Where some people love NLT, and it's like, hey, but you got to know what like you should at least understand like the words they use or the phrases they use are interchangeable for a lot of things, and you don't understand Koine Greek grammar structure or Hebrew structure, like
Right.
it's easy to do it. And that's why what exposed it to me was C.S. Lewis's Three Loves, and when he talks about the three loves of Jesus, and I thought that was like, oh wow, I didn't realize there were three different words for love that had three different meanings, and I was like, oh, I need to go deeper. And so I think for everyone, they just need to find that thing that hooks them, and that was it for me. I was like, oh wait, when we read it, it just says love, but it has a completely different context when you read it in the Greek.
Yeah. So but dude, it's funny because you got into the exact question I had in my mind here that I wanted to throw at you guys, and we probably don't have the time to really dive into this fully. This might end up being another episode in the future, and I think we've briefly kind of mentioned it in the past. But let me throw it out here and get your just kind of gut reaction to this. One, was the church established, and was it meant to be all these denominations, Frenchie, as you said, or was that more? Could that have been a tactic of Satan to kind
That's
of
what I meant. That's what I meant when I said that.
Well, and the second part is like all these different translations and the stuff that we're seeing with scripture and changes to scripture. Is that just simply a byproduct of that plan trickling on down?
Well, I'll say, I mean, I feel like I was just looking at this, but it's 100% trickling down from just even being able to allow everyone to create their own denomination, because I'm pretty sure at this point you can pretty much say Christ Church of Christ. You know what I mean? Church of West Christ. You can just pick anything, and you're like, oh, here we actually just don't like this part of Genesis, but we're focused here on this part with a reservation, or anything.
Yeah.
It's like if you are working for the enemy, you want this. Okay, because think about it, we don't even have a Christian economy really. If you like, the biggest church is technically with the Catholic Church, and they're only big because they're all connected to all one area, and they have tons of money, right? I mean, they have a lot of capital to work with, and there's some churches. I mean, even here in like Palm Beach, like my church, they have a lot of money in this church. But if we all didn't have all these denominations, the whole Christian society would be filthy. You know what I mean? Would be able to do more. So you don't really want that. And I can see why, the devil wanting this, and every Christian, every pastor, they still just play to it. Like everyone just keeps playing to the same tune, and you'll have these Bible, and then you have that Chinese Bible that has Lord knows what in there. I need to get a Big Swiss. You need to get a copy of that.
I'd be interested to read it.
Swiss, did you buy the Trump Bible?
No, I did not buy that.
I'm disappointed in you, dude.
Yeah, so was that his translation?
For any academic purpose.
Other words for big just changed to hugely.
But it
JV with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's a little blasphemous to put those documents together in my personal view. So no,
dude, did you hear? I know we're going back off track here a little bit, but did you guys hear the prayers at the end of Trump's speech, the main speech today?
No, I missed that.
So they had three different guys come up and pray, and the first one was a Jewish rabbi.
Okay.
And in his prayer, he got to talk about how, as America, we need to trust God, but also that God trusts us, that he puts his trust in us to be everything that America's supposed to be. And I was like, what is that? I had to turn it off and come back later. And once that guy was done, I was like, nope. I was like, what is this that's happening right now? Apparently God trusts Americans, and that seems wise,
God trusts us.
The heart of man is sinful, man.
Dude,
like
something, man.
I could see like a logical reasoning of like, well, he already knows what you're gonna do, so he trusts that you're gonna execute what he knows you're gonna do. I could see that logic, but that's
put his trust in us.
That's
that was
I wouldn't say he preemptively puts trust in us.
That was the words he used. Was he put
Didn't Jesus literally say doesn't even trust the angels? Like, he says God doesn't even trust it. There's a let me actually pull that up. Hold on. There's a
well, the angels are jealous of us too. They're jealous of our free will.
Happy Inauguration Day. Happy MLK Day.
You guys got it. This verse threw me off. And this is where the Timothy Alvarito guy, he knows all these verses by heart. I mean, he's been deep inside it. He says it says, if God does not trust his own angels and has changed his messengers with his foolishness. I think it was in where is it at? I'm using hold on.
Well, and I can't and I'm gonna draw a blank, but I mean there's even the scripture where it talks about, hold on a second.
It's in Job. It's in Job, but still, it's kind of mind blowing that God, like, why would God trust us? He didn't trust his angels, and Jesus did say the kingdom of heaven suffers from violence.
Yeah, well, and there was the part where where it's coming up close to the day for him to be turned over, to the Romans and all that good stuff, to be arrested, right? And it was talking about going in and to this town and trusting the people there to kind of take care of them. And he was like, why would I trust them? I know what they're about. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
So he had a rabbi. Who else prayed for him? I'm interested now.
I know there was a Catholic priest. Who else was there?
And a Protestant.
And they all walked into a bar. It was awesome.
Yeah, right. I'm like, he's just covering his bases right now.
Graham's kid.
Franklin
Graham. He was there. I think he actually did like the opening. Like there was two people in the opening. I think Franklin Graham was one of them, and then there was three at the end. But
was he not on the Zoom? Was he not on the video instead? Like, I don't know if he was live.
No, he was there.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like somebody was but yeah, the prayers too were kind of interesting. I was kind of watching while the prayer was going on, and you could see all the people that are not believers. They're just like eyes wide open, just like staring up, like angry, almost like, what is all this prayer going on? And I'm just like, man, I bet they're just struggling right now. Like, I mean, you'd hate all that if you're Buddhist or something.
Hey, but they were rocking with Nelly though, so that was cool. Nelly, I think, was yesterday, but whatever.
They were right. I think Snoop Dogg.
Nelly was there.
Dude,
Dogg,
Snoop was there, but Nelly performed, and Nelly was getting a bunch of backlash for performing.
Snoop's the biggest industry plant of all time.
You know what? I've been looking into it.
Bro, he's a household name. For what?
Oh, dude, well,
he's not a good rapper.
He was a household name in '93, but for completely different reasons.
Right, but I'm talking about this dude's on the Disney Channel now.
Yeah.
And hosting the Olympics.
Well, yeah, I did see that.
And sells a million different things at Walmart.
And is doing football broadcasts.
Yeah, they're just sending him around now.
I'm like,
dude,
this dude is not entertaining.
He has completely recreated his image.
I don't know how. Like whatever the industry plant success model is, just look at Snoop Dogg. And
what's the chick they just got in trouble with the Bitcoin stuff?
I don't know her name. The Haktua girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know her name.
I don't even like to say
don't
that.
Pay attention. Yeah, I know.
I don't even like to say her name personally.
Industry plant.
That's the only.
Like they just chose their girl. Let's blow this one up.
Yep.
This should keep them entertained for a little bit.
Let's get some money out of it. Like all those people that lost their money, it went into some account.
Right.
That doesn't man, I'll tell you that working in finance, that money is just going to another account, buddy.
Yep.
Here's the thing I know for sure, man, is like we're not gonna get it's not gonna get slow on the news cycle. Like we're gonna have a lot of stuff that we can talk about this year, Swiss. I mean, this is only our second episode of the year. So.
I mean, is that the benefit of Trump though? Even CNN is celebrating. You know what I mean? MSNBC.
Well, they never stopped to begin with because they knew where their money was.
They're jumping for joy now. Literally, they're just like, man, we get content every day.
Yeah, the View just signed a 4-year contract again. Like,
dude, like how?
Here's my thing. Here's my honest thought. Like, this is a dead serious take. The View is in business because they get more views from conservatives making fun of them than the people that actually watch. If we just stopped sharing the View's terrible views, dude, I heard they would go out of business.
I heard that Elon was going to buy ABC or CBS, whatever it is, just to shut that show down, man.
Good,
hilarious.
Just put anyone up there. But you know what? I do want to make an observation because I was in DC with my family this summer, and we went to the Bible Museum. You guys,
how was that? Yeah, I really want to go. When I went to DC, it wasn't open yet.
Check out my video. I actually posted. I have a video on my channel. I did the little tour I filmed around, but I was actually really interested because I've never really explored DC. I didn't realize how liberal it was. Like until my wife and I we were walking, we just saw a church and LGBT flag all over the place, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like this is just a regular. This is normal here. She's like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, all right, cool. Now I understand where this Bible is going to apply first. You know what I mean? This Bible is going to get shipped out to those churches by the tenfold easily. And there's a lot more churches than that, just that in DC. Can you imagine Seattle, anything, California?
Yeah.
And I was like, that was a strange observation because I've never seen that. I haven't seen a church, put all types of flags up because all I know is the moment you make a stance like that, the contradiction is coming. You know what I mean? The moment you make a harsh stance, contradiction is coming. Unless you make a stance on Jesus Christ, that's the only way you're gonna be able to withstand whatever. Everything else just kind of falls away when the contradictions hit you.
Man, my church, the church I work at, we always get in hot water around election cycle because they just want us to say a name from the pulpit. And it's like, hey, we're just going to say what the Bible says on the issues.
Right.
You're willing to take that as how you want to take it. And people it's wild, the emails that get sent on stuff as simple as that. It's sad how polarizing it can be to just be like, hey, can we just read this and do what it says? Like, that's what I'm at. I am a pastor. I am not a poli-sci person.
Right.
I'm not an expert on the Constitution. I am an expert on this book, and I've lived my life this way, and I think we should all just do this. And people are like, say a name. saying it. You won't say a name because it's this person, and it's from both
100.
sides, right? Like
Yeah.
you won't say a name because you're voting for Kamala, or you won't say a name because you're voting for Trump. It's like it doesn't matter.
Well, let me ask you guys, how do you guys feel about the church during that time period, like the election cycle?
Teach the Bible.
I was like, because my church, they avoid it. I have
Yep.
one of those churches that used to be a Baptist church. They're just not talking about it. They pretend nothing's going on. Like the whole Israel war going on. I mean, it's like you go into church, you'll never even hear it. Like you have no idea what's happening just outside. And I'm like, is that right? I mean, I feel like, you know, Paul in the early church, when they met, they had to talk about the Roman Empire, like what was going on. It's like, we can't go to this place. This place is hot. This way, you know, they had to talk about that stuff. And I mean, and you have a church that talks about it and it gets real nasty. So what's the right approach?
I mean, I don't think it matters. Like, I mean, when you see that type of reaction, it's discouraging in a way, because you feel like, hey, I feel like I'm being faithful in what, and I'm speaking on behalf of my pastors, right? Like, so I hope I'm speaking for them in a way that honors how they actually think about it. Like, I don't want to like put words in their mouth, but I truly believe that they are looking at this and saying, I know people are concerned about this issue. What does the Bible say about it? That's our stance. And some people can't take that. And like,
well, and
that's tough. And so, you know, and then you have the opposite where it's ignored and people are coming to the church being like, I have questions. I don't know how this lines up. You're the expert on what scripture says. What does scripture say? And so, because they don't read their Bibles, back to that original problem. That's all connected.
That's where I would hope that the message would be, one, stack everything up against scripture. Right.
Yeah.
And two, be okay with being wrong about something.
Yeah.
Like that needs to be the message. Is like, hey, it's okay to be like, whoa, I was off on that. Let me correct it.
If more journalists would have done that, I think Kamala probably could have won.
I mean, she had the women's support was there. There's more women in the world than there's men. Yeah. So, you know, it's
I've got a good question to ask you guys before we get out of here. But I'll save it for the very, very end, because we may have to cut it off before I ask you. I don't know. We'll see. It might be risky. But I want to talk about your channel before we do get out of here, though.
Oh, for sure.
Talk about it, man. Let people know what goes on, why they're tuning in, man.
I'm honestly, I've just the music alone is what really kind of hooked me to the whole YouTube, and I think the passion for just not seeing enough of Christian presence, and, you know, just being like a YouTube user and really enjoying like some good content and stuff like that. I'm like, man, every one of these content, like if you're not in the word daily, you will easily drift. Like every day you just drift slowly, because I mean, those YouTube, you ever been in those YouTube rabbit holes and you're just like, oh, that's a cool video. Oh, this is a good video. Wow, I didn't even, and you just keep going. Next thing you know, you could really, like, if you don't have a foundation, if you don't like go back to the Bible every day, you know, if you don't find Christian avenues, then you really can get lost in there. So that was really the birth of that channel. And I always felt like, you know, church.
What's the channel called?
Locked In Christians.
Is it spelled any?
Yeah, just regular locked and in. Locked In, I put it in as one word. So Locked In Christians. Yeah, Locked ED Christians. And so that was generally my passion for starting the channel, because I was like, you know what, we need a presence, and how does the church kind of reimagine themselves? Like, how does this church, because, you know, there's a new battlefield now. It's no longer face to face, and a lot of Gen Zs barely see each other face to face. They're all online. The platform is online. Like, how's your church preparing for online? Like, how does your church prepare for, you know, graduating seniors that are heading off into college? It's really an online space. Like, most of their classes are online, everything is online, but the churches are not flipping over to online. You know, like, my church barely has a YouTube channel. Okay, they barely, and they have the most. They have content that's important for everyone, especially for the people that they're at church. Because I remember graduating from my church and just never really seeing them again. You know what I mean? Like, there's no connection, there's no follow-ups. Like, yeah, sure, we're supposed to send people, but we're supposed to equip people at the same time. So out of that birthed the channel, because I was like, man, I got to follow up with some of my guys that I've been with since they've been, in middle school. I've been volunteering and seeing these guys grow, and I'm like, there's no longer a connection. They don't have a Bible study. They can't find a church around the campus, but you can find a Bible study online now. So I was offering some started off with live Bible studies on Fridays 9:30. That's what I do my live.
Okay.
And so then I just kind of switched it to making more videos that interesting content, like how the stories of Samson, connect with John the Baptist, how they're all predicted. There's so many cool stories. The Bible is I say would make the best movies ever. If you took the budget,
and we keep doing Moses.
if you took the budget of Avatar and just put it into like Genesis chapter 6 or Daniel chapter 10, just crazy stuff like that.
I want to see Genesis 38 and 39 when
now.
That's the wildest 2 chapters in all of the Bible, and I will make a PowerPoint.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying, though? It's super interesting. Like, the Bible is so interesting, and I'm trying to get these like young guys. I'm like, you have to find that interest. You have to grow from going from milk to solid food, as Paul says. And a lot of Christians, I think, they hit the ceiling and hit this Christian boredom, I call them. You're bored. You are bored in the faith. You go to church, you're hearing the same exact thing you've heard. Like, you heard that sermon when you were 14, 15, 16, same sermon, Galatians. Name a Galatians passage where your pastor hasn't gone over it, right? You're just going to get new pastors with a little bit of different twist, same message. But it's like, the reason why you get that boredom is because you have to get yourself involved. Like, that's what Paul is saying. Like, you're taking in the gospel lightly as milk, as a babe in the faith, and then after a while, you got to grow solid food. You know what I mean? You got to start digging into some stuff. You got to learn about, why are all the people of Israel? Why did they struggle every time? You know what I mean? Like, why did they go through all these ups and downs with God? God was right there in their midst. They still failed. It's like things like that. You're like, well, that stuff doesn't make sense. How's Israel looking like this today? But if you start reading the Bible, you'll be like, this actually makes sense.
Yeah. I always equate it to like the type of people which this convicted me. I talk about this a lot on the show. One of my biggest convictions for diving really heavily in the Bible was I knew way more about Star Wars lore or the Marvel Comics universe or DC stuff. Like, I can nerd out on like, well, actually, Wolverine's real name isn't Logan, it's James Howlett. And you found that, like, I was that level nerdy about that, but I couldn't explain anything about the Bible, and that convicted me. And then once I read it, I'm like, this is way cooler than all that other stuff that I've learned. Like, they did what? Like, this story is crazy.
I even got, like, I'm so happy that I was able to convince my wife how cool the Bible is, because she was also kind of like, I'm Christian, she goes to church, she sings at the church, but she doesn't really open and dig deep. But now she's in there, and we're just like going through the first like 3 or 4 books, and I'm like, we're in Leviticus, and I'm like, Lex, this is where law comes from. This God laying down the law. We're reading our craziest laws, but it's like just that passion of being able to just encourage people to create. Like, I don't even want I could care less if there's 5 billion subscribers. I'm like, the point is, you go create. Like, you need to get yourself plugged in, because you're gonna have a different view of how you read this stuff and connected with your own personal story. And so that's really where Locked In Christians came in. And I think I said locked in a song one time, or Locked In Christian or something. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, let me just keep it in. So that's pretty much the gist of the channel. It's kind of like what Eric, you were talking about, just being able to find content, creating content on just a Christian perspective on what's going on, because we don't have enough of it. So, and that's Locked In Christians.
Love it, man. Go follow, subscribe. Yeah, follow, subscribe, all the stuff, man. Because I know you put out like a video today, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I haven't got a chance.
I've been trying to put that out all week. My son gets it away. He's one.
Love it, man. Well, hey, I've enjoyed having you here, man. Hopefully you come back, hang out with us again.
Sure, man. Open invitation, bro.
Bro,
For sure.
I'm in, dude. You don't even have to say less. Say less.
Dude, I'm known for like maybe sometimes I'll walk up to the line, maybe I'll jump over it a little bit. So this might be one of those line jumping things. But dude, I saw this and it was too funny for me not to like bring it up.
Habitual line stepper.
Habitual.
Did you see that? Did you see that apparently Donald Trump is like hooking up with Kamala Harris's husband today?
What?
Wait, what? Wait, what?
You setting a joke up.
So I think Kamala put a tweet out that said, I just on January 20th, 2025, he was going to sleep the president of the United States.
Oh, that's right. He did say that.
So now people are like, I guess Trump's hooking up with
That was a little aggressive for her to say, though. She's the husband.
Her husband said it. Her husband tweeted it.
No, she tweeted it.
She said she's going to be sleeping with the president of the United States.
She told him that he would be.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do remember seeing that. And like the quote was like, everyone bookmark this because it's going to be really funny in a couple months if it doesn't work out.
And it is.
And with that, man, Big Swiss, final thoughts?
No, man, this was fun, Riff. Like,
yeah.
No,
I like really want you to come back. Like,
bro,
I just want to chop it up with you. You're cool, man. I'm down.
Say the word. Do we? What we need to start looking at these Timothy Alberino videos.
Bro,
I think you're gonna enjoy Swiss. We're gonna have to break them down. Eric,
I love rabbit holes.
All right.
Ooh.
We could do that.
The way he breaks the stuff down really like put a new perspective. I had to sit down for 30 minutes and just kind of like think and then try to explain it to my wife. That's my test for like, did I learn something? Let me go explain it to my wife. She's like confused. I'm like, I didn't get it. I gotta go back.
That's funny.
I love it,
yeah.
Man. Well, we'll be back soon, man. We'll be back soon, and maybe we'll get Frenchie Riff here hanging out with us if he's not too busy being locked in. So
man,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see
what happens. So
you guys are great.
Shout out to our guy KD. He got hung up, couldn't make it tonight. He'll be back.
Miss you,
soon.
buddy.
He'll be back soon for another show. I'll only stay angry until then. It'll be fine. So anyway, I guess be safe. Enjoy Trump's America if you find a reason to, and even if you don't, try to find something to enjoy.
Go hug a neighbor anyway.
Hug a neighbor, yeah. I did want to plug one more thing. If you guys are interested in some Christian music that's like kind of different. Okay, I do like Afrobeat. I like that Afrobeat Christian music, like pop. I'm all over the place. But it's on edifymusic.com. You guys can go check those out. I just plop them all in there. Just bloop. And the widget kind of sucks though. So if it doesn't work, just skip a song. We want tight budget.
Edifymusic.com.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that website was available. Fun fact. But then I realized not a lot of Christian people doing anything online.
That's true.
Things are available. This is a good time. So buy up some websites, man.
And if you're looking for something to just feel good about, root for the Eagles, man. Fly Eagles fly. One step away.
Oh, there it was. I was waiting.
One step away.
When's the game? Thursday?
No. It'll be
Sunday, Saturday.
I think it'll be Sunday. I have to double check the schedule, but I'm pretty sure it's Sunday. So them versus Washington. So division game, Super Bowl on the line.
That's gonna be nasty work.
Chiefs Bills probably gonna be the Chiefs. So you already know how that is.
You know it's gonna be the Chiefs. They're gonna win the Super Bowl. They're gonna win it. Come on, let's not even try to play it.
Can they all just lose?
No, the Eagles.
I'm voting for ties.
The Eagles are gonna win this year, and even if you don't like
soccer,
and if you don't like,
I'm a Formula One guy.
Dude, here's the thing: if you don't like football, baseball's around the corner. So
hey, I do like football. I love baseball. They are huge time commitments, and I get all the same love from F1 in a 2-hour package with no commercials before church starts every Sunday. Dude, it's the best time value investment of sports money can buy.
You're sounding very Canadian right now.
You guys are gonna hate me. I'm a soccer guy.
There you go. Hey, I get it though. Same thing. 2 hour commitment
in college, so I
no
can't help it.
commercials.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's like a better time investment.
Honestly,
you know who else likes soccer though, right? You know who else likes soccer?
Canadians,
Europeans,
the oppressors.
English.
The oppressors love soccer. So it's fine, dude. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
Wait, don't they own football?
Dude, I'm just saying. There's a reason we fought for our independence, man. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But, and that being said, man, for my guy KD the Vessel, Big Swiss, it's Eric Boston, FiveTwenty Collective. Y'all already know what it is.